Hey, this is for Tuesday, the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, and a celebration of our freedoms and liberties and all the things that we take for granted that many have fought and bled for, and even paid the ultimate sacrifice and given their lives. So today is the premiere of a movie called The Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel. Many of you will remember him from Signs, but also The Passion of the Christ. So this movie is a little different. It's based on a true story of a man who was a federal agent and became aware of some things going on in terms of human trafficking and specifically child sex trafficking, and was prevented or hindered because of policies and procedures, and you know how things get with bureaucracy and government. And he became hindered in trying to help. And so he couldn't let go of that conviction and that passion to make a difference and do something. So he started his own and founded a group that goes in and helps rescue victims of human trafficking. And so I'm excited about this movie and hope that you'll get an opportunity to see it. But what it reminded me of is how oftentimes we can be prevented, or we can be hindered from doing our calling or serving our purpose because of policies and bureaucracy and red tape and committees and everything else that goes along with that. But it reminds me of what Paul said to the church at Galatia in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 7. You were running so well, Paul said. What prevented you or has hindered you from following that, from continuing in that truth? You were doing real good. Paul commended the church at Galatia and said, but something has hindered, something has prevented. So you and I need to evaluate and look at our lives as we call a timeout on this Timeout Tuesday. And we need to ask, is there anything hindering us from going full on? Is there anything hindering us from being sold out and living our passion and giving it our all? Is there anything that has prevented us from doing that? And if there is something hindering that, or if there is something preventing it, then let's address that and let's deal with it, because God has a higher calling than any career or any job or any specific task could give you. God's calling is much higher, and we've got to do our part. And I appreciate the story of the Sound of Freedom, because here's a guy who had stability and security with this job, and he could have continued in that career for 20, 30 years and retired and gone home and, hey, I did my job. But something deep within inside him burned and said, don't settle. And the problem with the Christians and the problem with life in general is we settle for being good when God has intended for us to be great. Quit accepting the status quo or mediocrity when God calls you to something bigger, something higher, and something so much greater. Hey, on this 4th of July, on this day that we celebrate freedom, let's remember those who laid down their lives, not so we could just exist, not so that we could live in this country of freedom and stay stuck in a rut or accept the status quo. No. No more. We're called to a higher standard. Let's give it all we've got. Let's serve our passion in that calling and not let anything hinder or prevent us. Stay faithful. Stay focused. Happy 4th of July. God bless.